West Bloomfield Township is an outdoor lover's paradise. It was a beautiful weekend to get out and enjoy the amazing parks and all of the amazing lakes. But the heart of the community is really its commitment to the arts. It's one of the things that makes West Bloomfield unique, and one of the most anticipated art shows every year is the Orchard Lake Fine Arts Show. Township Supervisor Steve Kaplan with us this morning on the show. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Morning, Ronnie. Good to see you as always.
You too. Happy Monday. How was your weekend?
Oh, it's nice. Yeah, very, very nice. Good to be back, though. Good to be at work.
Well, good. So, Steve, the thing I love about West Bloomfield, there's always something going on. And of course, right now is the time for everyone to add to their calendar the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show.
Yes, it's our 19th annual Orchard Lake Fine Art Fair, but we had one year, as you know, 2020 during COVID, it was canceled mainly because of the county, but it was probably the right decision to make. So you know Patty Narosny. Patty Narosny oversees the art fair. This is independent. It's not paid for by the township, but the township assists Patty Narosny. But Patty Narosny is a lover of the arts, and she has more energy, Ronnie, than me and you combined, and having more energy than you is an accomplishment.
I don't know about that. Steve, can you talk about, though, having art shows like this come to the area? What does that mean for West Bloomfield in general?
It's positive. It places us on the map in a way. There are people, as you know, who might travel 100 miles to attend an art fair, and this could be their first exposure, Ronnie, to West Bloomfield, or a more recent exposure to West Bloomfield. So while they're here for the art fair, they might patronize restaurants, stop by a grocery store or a drugstore, but I think it's all positive for West Bloomfield that people are talking about our art fair, even though Patty Narosny deserves most of the credit.
She does an amazing job of putting this show on, and it's a lot of work, and I know we'll be talking to her in the coming days and coming weeks, as well as some of the artists. But when it comes to being a community, the arts really, it's kind of an enticement for people when they're looking for a new place to live.
It is, and it also enhances one's, how do you, let's say you're living, I know you live in the area, and how do you know what causes a person to move to the area or not sell and remain in the area? And it's an intangible that there's excitement in the community, especially the art fair.
You know what I love? It's not just the art fair, but really it's everything else that goes on pretty much on a daily and weekly basis. I didn't know they were doing music at Maine until recently. What a cool concept.
Are you referring to the Parks Commission?
Yes, yes.
If you want to know what is occurring in the community, watch a Parks meeting. It's one per month on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And I think our residents would be astounded by the number of events we have that are sponsored by Jennifer Tucker and her staff at the Parks Commission.
I always Steve, I know that this wasn't on our list to talk about, but talking about the West Bloomfield Parks Department, they do so many cool events, and they did Beekeeper for a Day. And believe it or not, my husband signed us up, and we went out there to the park, put on our beekeeper suits, and got a little too close to the bees for me, but it was so interesting because now I look at bees completely different.
Sure. And you know that honey is one food product that just never goes stale.
I know.
So even hundreds of years later.
I don't know if I would want it hundreds of years later, but yeah, he was explaining, because you know how honey gets hard and then you're like, oh, I'm going to throw it out. He's like, no, just, warm it up, because it takes so much work by these little tiny bees to make that honey.
Right, and I asked my wife to join me at the event because I told her she's a real honey.
That's a good line. That's a really good line. So what else is going on for the summer months here in West Bloomfield? Do you have any other exciting things?
We have Food Truck Tuesday. I know you've covered that for Civic Center TV, but approximately twice per month on Tuesdays between 11:30 and 1:30, there's a food truck near the Parks building. And we had good attendance last week. I don't remember the name of the company. I should remember this, but their specialty
Lobster, Maine, Cousins Lobster,
That's
Maine, I
it.
think.
I should keep you on speed dial, Ronnie. I was just amazed at the number of people who were waiting in line. There were actually long lines for Food Truck Tuesday, but it adds spirit and vitality and vibrancy to the community. People they want to live in an area where there's some action, and we have that with our Parks Commission and probably one of the best libraries in the world.
Plus, one of the good things is you have so many people that work over there in that area. And it's easy way to go and get lunch because there's construction around the area, which some people don't want to leave in the middle of the day. So it's a good way to get out. You get something fresh to eat, but also you're meeting other people that work in the area that maybe you wouldn't meet otherwise.
Right, an example of that, Chief Patton attends these events. Chief Patton is everywhere. I think our police chief has a clone or a twin brother who attends events. But he met these two residents, long-term residents, the Weisbergs, and they approached him. He was wearing his uniform, and they thanked him for all he does for the community. And they had a 10-minute conversation, but they're excited that they met the police chief. Not that he's a hero in their minds, even though he's a great guy and very competent, but it's a conversation piece for them. I met the police chief. Here's what he said. And so you're right about that. You never know whether a relationship can form as a result of an event.
So obviously we're going into the summer months. One of the big things, the lakes. Going back to the park or to the farm to get to the beekeeper event, I didn't realize how many communities in West Bloomfield actually rest up against the lakes.
Oh, sure. We have 28 lakes in West Bloomfield, more than any other community in the United States, except for one in Minnesota. So think about that, 28 lakes. There are communities that don't have any lakes. They might have a pond or a ravine. But this makes West Bloomfield special. You could drive from the northeast end of West Bloomfield, southeast end all the way to the northwest end, and there are no lakes in the southwest end, and suddenly this is a boating community.
Wow. So you said 28 lakes? That's amazing. How did I never know that in all the years I've lived here?
Well, Ronnie, it's just you have so much knowledge in your cranium, you can't possibly have room for every fact.
But that has to attract so many people into the area. Hey, Steve, can I ask you, because the market is still pretty crazy, but it seems like West Bloomfield overall, you guys are doing great when it comes to the housing market. Everyone wants to live in West Bloomfield.
Well, not everybody wants to live in West Bloomfield, but the prices, the cost of homes has ascended. So that's good for the seller, but not necessarily for the buyer. But it's a good barometer for us, and we know that trend eventually will subside. But there are homes in an area near where I live that my wife and I thought were maybe sell for $200,000, and some of these homes are being purchased for $300,000. So West Bloomfield is an attractive area to live.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So what's that do for the township's overall budget when properties start to sell at such a high rate?
Sure. Well, it also uncaps the value. So as you know, your taxes cannot increase more than property taxes more than 5%, or the cost of inflation, whatever is less. But with a new owner, it's uncapped. So it does generate tax revenue for the township, but we still have to provide the services.
Steve Kaplan, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Anything else going on? Are you anticipating it's going to be a very busy primary?
Yes, it should be. There are some contested races. Because of redistricting, Ronnie, more of the areas are competitive. Before the redistricting, there was more gerrymandering, so you would have a seat that was always safe for the Democrat or for the Republican candidate. So some of these races will be very close, where before we knew in advance who was likely to win in the general election.
Huh. I know that the Parks has a millage coming up on the ballot as well. But, Steve, I'm old school when it comes to voting. I still like to go in because I want my I voted sticker.
Yes. And there's some excitement to voting at the polls. You see your neighbors and you have that in common. But more and more people are voting by absentee ballot. It'll probably reach 60% this year.
Wow, that's such a big number. I know maybe I'm dating myself a little bit here, but I remember, voting used to be in our elementary school. And when people were voting, it was always like, shh, be quiet. And I'm like, now as an adult, I'm like, why do you have to be quiet when people are voting?
Right. But we have a high voter turnout rate in West Bloomfield. In the general election, we can reach 80%.
That's almost unheard of, which just means you have such a great community that's very active and so many things that you guys do over there in the community.
Right. People care, and they even turn out for the local elections. Our next local election is 2024.
So Steve, anything I didn't touch on maybe that you want to share with everyone before we let you go and enjoy the holiday week? What are you going to do for the weekend? Anything fun?
I'm glad you did, but if I may plug the art fair one more time.
Absolutely.
We have 6 VIP tickets here at Town Hall. So we're going to give them away to 3 people, to 2 tickets each. So the first 3 individuals either call Town Hall, the supervisor's office, Ronnie, or visit Town Hall will receive 2 tickets.
Well, see, look at that. We have a little giveaway here on the Splash Live.
Right, we're calling the Ronnie Doll tickets. So it's the art fair entry fee is $5 for those 13 years of age or older, and 6 free tickets are here for them.
That is so great. That is so great. Well, thank you so much. And again, the art fair is not actually until the end of the month on the 30th
Right.
and 31st.
Yes, I should have said that. July 30 and 31, Saturday from 10 to 6, Sunday 10 to 5.
Well, Steve, thank you so much. Any big plans for the 4th of July?
Yes, a barbecue, but not at our house, which is nice because my wife says she does all the work and I do nothing at home.
That is always true, by the way. I mean, the guys kind of cook, but then it's like, yeah, same thing at our house. Well, you tell your wife hello and have a happy and safe 4th of July.
Same to you. Thanks, Ronnie. Always good seeing you.